Okay, this is going to be one of the last videos of Copper. Copper's on a new home, so everything will work out. So I wanted to show his new owners. This is a wonder bit he has in his mouth. The bridle hooks to the top because people get confused. The chain also hooks to this top ring, and then make sure you have 3 fingers. If you're a man, then it's probably 2 fingers, and then your reins are going to hook to the bottom ring here. Unless you're heavy-handed, then you could hook it here more like a snaffle, because you don't want to be yanking on this horse. Copper's great, but he is a more sensitive horse, so you want to ride with contact to keep his head straight so he doesn't look around, but you don't want to be yanking or being mean to him. Again, a lot of the sensitive horses you can control with your mind. He is more sensitive, so if you scare him by accident or anything, you just want to slowly walk up and be like, "You're okay, everything's fine, Copper." I don't know, you get to know him. He's a great horse, but he's not a dull old beginner horse. That's not who he is, which I explained to you, but sometimes people forget that. So you always want to make sure you know the horse well first before you let other people get on them. Make sure they know how to ride. I wouldn't put beginners on him till he's really quiet and you guys know him really well. You want people who know how to ride, who are not going to yank him around, and ride with 2 hands until you can keep his attention, his head straight, and everything's going well. And then anytime things are calm, you can go to 1 hand, but you can respond much quicker with 2 hands than you can 1 hand, and it makes it easier for the horse to understand. So I always recommend that first, and I recommend you learn all the maneuvers that I mention every single time in all my videos pretty much before you go to 1 hand, because you need to know how to do it with 2 hands before you can go to 1 hand. Okay, anytime you get on, it's always good to make some circles. Make sure you get on, the horse is walking calmly. If it's not, you probably didn't warm it up well enough by running it around, lunging around, pending it. So just get back off and get them out there and run them around some more. And with sensitive horses, you want to run them around, but you don't want to chase them like a crazy person either. 5-10 minutes moving around gently, not being too crazy with the whip, but enough that he canters and bucks and gets his yayas out. Okay, then you see how he is here. He's very calm, so this is how he should be. And you'll see I have a straight line from the bit right to my fingers, and so it's keeping his head nice and straight. I have very light contact, but there is contact there, and that's where people kind of get fooled about things. So when you're getting on the horse, you're trying to tell him, "Hey, I'm in charge. I'm going to tell you what to do. I know you know how to do some of this, but I want to make sure you listen to me. So I'm going to keep my reins a little bit short with my hands a couple of inches in front of the pommel, like 3 to 4 inches, and a straight line from the bit to my fingers, and then a straight line from your fingers up to your elbow. Everything's easy. And then go out a little forward, and then we'll come back slower. You don't have to go real fast when you go out. You don't want to make them crazy. You want to go forward, but a controlled forward. With sensitive horses like this, you take them out and gallop them all the time, they're going to turn cuckoo. That's what happens. It can happen even with the dull ones. So in the beginning, you're just trying to have good rides, get the horse used to its new job. It takes a long time for them to adjust and get used to what their new home is like. And a lot of horses can be a little jumpy or spooky in the beginning. You'll see he's kind of looking around because stuff here is always moving around and changing. So I'm just going to straighten him out, and then we're going to keep going. Okay, so see if this guy's going to run into us. Okay. So when you go down hills, keep the weight down in your feet. Let them go down as slow as they want to go down. If you rush down hills, you can make horses trip and fall down. So you want to feel their weight kind of shift back on their back end, because they're much safer and less trippy if all their weight is on their back end. If it's all on their front end and they're not paying attention and you're not paying attention, it's easy for the horse to trip, and it's easy for you to lose your balance if you're not paying attention. When you're riding the horse, you're trying to sit up tall, shoulders over your hips, hips are over your heels, or your heels are underneath your hips. You push down slightly in the stirrup to keep your heel down. That's your shock absorber, but also helps with your balance when things are going bad. You want those stirrups short enough that you can push against them, but not so short you're perching up in the saddle, since we're not jumping. And you want to go out forward and relaxed. Relaxed doesn't mean you're slumping over, being a slug, or you're not paying attention. It just means you're not tensing up your muscles, that your muscles are functioning and you're balancing yourself and you're paying attention, but that you're not overly tense, okay? Now if the horse is nervous, you talk to him. You're not going to ride out here like this, because then the horse, well, he's not doing it that much. Now, there he goes. He's going to look around, not pay attention, okay? Then they're going to trip, they're going to go crooked, they're going to go all over the place. So treat it like a car. You don't let the cars drive themselves. They don't drive so well themselves yet, anyhow. And so neither does the horse until you get to know it. So you want to ride with contact or be following somebody and pay attention. You want to be looking all around, but keep that horse's head straight so he's paying attention to where he's putting his feet and what his job is. And your job is to help protect him by you looking all around and being aware of what's coming, and then distracting the horse if you think they're going to get nervous, or getting the horse out of the way if something is coming at you like a bike is flying down, and getting yourself room. It's going to be like a crash course in riding. Horses are much more comfortable, you know, when they go with other horses, of course, because they feel I see the person over there, Copper. Somebody's hiding behind the bush. So I'm pushing him. He's trying to go to the bathroom. Good boy. Hi. So see, now that he saw him, he couldn't see him that well. Now he's okay. He's like, oh, it's a person. But he wanted to stop and look, and I was like, come on, we got a job to do. Let's keep going. So you want to be in charge. Tell them what to do, where to look, how fast to go. And if you say go, they need to go. See, I'm looking at, the farmers haven't been here in like 6 months, so that's why he's looking. So when they're looking at stuff, you sit back, keep your hands wide, just pull out instead of backwards, especially if they're not going, because if you pull back towards your hip to steer them, it's going to slow them down more instead of keeping them go forward. So that's why you pull out when you don't want that horse to go backwards at all, and push them forward. You start with light pressure and then add more and more. You don't want to belt this horse unless things were going really bad. He usually will respond, but it takes time for a horse to trust a new person. And if you have lots of easy, good rides, they'll trust you quicker than if you have lots of bad rides and you're running around chaotic. Okay? So you're trying to build their trust in you so they'll do anything you want. And that's what Copper has with me right now. He trusts me, and he knows I won't get him in trouble because I'm aware and I'm going to pay attention to things and help him. So you're trying to balance yourself. You're trying to look around to what things are coming. And then again, when you're going out on the trail, you're trying to go forward so then you can come back slow. If they start looking around, like he just tried to look to the right, you just pull left and then get it after them. I have the little Rommel reins on, which has a little spanker, so you can use that if the horse is not going, to give them a little tap, or if they're not going in the beginning, you can carry a stick. The more often they go out on the trails or hand walk out there, they'll get used to them. Our trails are constantly changing because we're next to farms, so they're always changing what's next to us and who's over there hiding and different scarecrows and all of that. So now that he's past that stuff, now I can go to more one hand, but you'll see my hands like 3 inches in front of my pommel. My reins are short, so he can feel when I neck rein him, and by keeping him short like this, I can keep his head straight. So if he starts to look right, I can just use my index finger to correct him. If he started to look left, I could use my ring finger to connect him. If your reins are too long and you're neck reining, you can't do that. So you got to get good with your hands. And you got to know if a horse starts spinning, he's really scared. Say he spun to the right because something jumped up on the left there. Well, if he don't trust you and believe you, you just pressing the rein back against him is not going to stop them. So it's best to, if they're getting nervous, you don't know the horse, go to 2 hands, you'll have much better control and you'll be able to block a spin much better. Things you need to learn how to do so you are safe is you need to learn how to know how to ride a rear, a buck, which are, I have lots of videos on those. You want to learn how to leg yield, side pass, move their shoulders and hindquarters. You got all that and you practice it and know how to use it, usually pretty good to go. He knows how to do all those things, but you have to learn how to give him the cues. Otherwise people make mistakes, get in trouble, and then they lose the horse's confidence because the horse is like, they don't know what they're doing. They're not going to help me. Okay? So this is forward, see, but it's not really fast. So I don't want to bring his adrenaline up and make him cuckoo. I just want to go forward and go somewhere. All right. I would in the beginning always round pen him, lunge him for 10 minutes before you ride, changing directions a fair amount because that wears him out faster. And you're just trying to move him around so he's trotting and cantering, not so he's running frantically afraid, because that brings the adrenaline up and that will make your horse more hyper, not calmer. And you'll see my rein is still short. So I'm able to half halt, steer, and do all those things with this rein because it's shorter. It's not like this. This lets Copper know I'm not paying any attention. And that's fine once calm and they're not spooky, they know where they are and they're tired, but not in the beginning. You don't want to ride like that. That's how they get lazy, trippy, don't pay attention, think you're not up there, they get more spooky, and then you don't have control, and when you need to do something, you won't be quick enough. Okay? So, when you're out here, again, especially if you're riding by yourself and stuff, you're trying not to scare yourself, like, oh, what if there's a lion around the corner? Oh my God, what if there's a creepy man off on the right? Did you hear that? Was that a deer or is that somebody hiding in the woods? They're going to kill us. You can't think like that. You have to totally get all those negative thoughts out of your mind and be like, we're going to have fun today. Yeah, you're gaiting pretty well, Copper. You seem like a fun guy. I think I can help you and you're going to help me. And we're going to have a great time out here. Oh, you hear something off to the right? Well, I'm going to vibrate my left rein and a little left leg and get your attention back on me because I don't see anything out there. I don't hear anything. And I know if it was a mountain lion, you'd probably give a big snort, put those ears and that head up, and then I'd know we were in big trouble and we should get the hell out of here. But you're not doing that, so I think you're just more listening to see if it's a bird or a deer or something because you're bored. So I'm going to make you pay attention to me and move out and gait nicely. Now I'm going to keep looking around, looking for danger, while you just pay attention to the footing we're on. Okay? So, keep them paying attention to you. That's one of the biggest mistakes, is people just let their horses wander and not paying attention at all, and then the horse goes to its instincts and goes, hey, stupid, we're leaving now. And you're like, what? And then you fall off. So, keep them paying attention to you. Give them jobs. Give them things to do. Like this. This is not going to be pleasant. Let's stop in the middle of the hill. Oh. Now, push yourself up the hill. That's how you get some engagement. There you go. And make them work. Your horse being bad, make them walk up all the hills. It's much harder to walk up hills than gallop or canter up hills. So you're trying to build muscles, strength, get their gait better. Make them walk up those hills or flat walk up those hills and you're going to get it. And you try to do different things on your trail ride. If you do the same thing in the same spots every time, the horse will memorize it. And when you won't let them do it, they get mad. They're like, we always canter up at that second feather thing up there. And I'm ready to canter, so you better hang on because we're going. And you're like, no, I'm not doing that. So you want to do things in different spots so they don't memorize, they don't know what's going on, and they got to pay attention to what you're asking them to do. What else? The more often you work your horses, the better they will get. The less often you work your horse, the worse they will get. It's just like with anything, just like you're riding. If you're riding every day, you're going to be in better shape than if you're riding once a month. If you're riding every day, your balance is going to be better than if you're riding once a month. Okay? If you're strength training, doing core stuff, Pilates, you're going to be a better rider because you're getting stronger. for the people who have osteoporosis and you're nervous and all that stuff, you want to get as much protection as you can. You can wear wrist guards and all sorts of stuff. If you know you have that osteoporosis, if you don't know and you're worried about it, go get the bone density test and find out. And then you wear as much protection as you have, but you also start doing weight training, core strengthening, Pilates, balance exercise. There's so much to do to make us better riders. That's what we'll talk about a little bit. So everybody knows who Tiger Woods is, right? And so we know how good he was at golf. Oh, somebody dropped their glasses. Let's go with that. So we all know how good he was at golf. Was he born that way? No, he was born with some talent, but his dad started him early. And so he was golfing from when he was being a little kid. And then what happened is the dad coached him. Put this on you, Copper. See, Copper's like, how about we go home? And I'm like, how about not? So when you get on, when you're going out, always face away from home when you go to get back on. Because if you face home, they always move around. And they might even move around when you're facing the other way. If they keep swinging their butt away from you, shorten up the right rein, because that way when you pull, it'll pull their butt towards you. Okay? But if you turn their head sideways, either to the left or right, it will hold them usually somewhat in the same spot. Okay. So Tiger Woods had talent, but it started because his dad started him early and he liked playing golf and all that stuff. Well, even with his talent and how good he was, so you see I started off with 2 reins because he was goofing around a little bit, and then I'm going to go back to 1 rein. So even with all that, he got coaches and he had people tell him what to do, how to be better. Now this is the hard part, because I teach a lot of people, and there's some people I can teach, and there's some people there's no reason I should teach them, because they won't listen. So if you're paying somebody for their expertise, whatever it is, listen to them, because the reason they are an expert at it is because they have more experience than you. So you might think you know, and you might think you're right, but they're going to know a lot more than you. And so again, if you're paying them, they have a good reputation. A lot of people are like, that's the best one around here. Then you listen to them and take that criticism that they're saying. If they say you keep staring at the horse's head, you start looking over that horse's ears. If they say your stirrups are too long, you shorten them up. If they say you lean back too far, you sit up taller. Okay? But you're paying them for their expertise, so listen to them. And criticism will help you ride better. I can't tell you how many thousands of lessons I had growing up. And they beat the heck out of us. People have no idea what they did to us as English riders. Rode with a bar behind my back, rode without our stirrups, rode without our reins, had to jump without your reins, had to jump without your stirrups, fell off all the time. Just happens. So you get used to falling off, and you get used to doing exercises and becoming stronger, and they torture you. But that's how we got so good, and that's how we didn't panic when we lost a stirrup. We're like, whatever, I'll find it as I'm getting to the jump, because I know I possibly can do that, and I can't pull up. I want to win this show. So you want to be able to take criticism. If you can't take criticism, and some people can't, you can't help them. And you're probably not going to get better. You're probably just going to get hurt, or you're going to hurt somebody else, because you're most likely not doing the right thing. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. So there was this one girl who was riding with some of my Gated girls, and she took some lessons, but not enough, and she's exactly what I'm talking about. Wouldn't listen, wouldn't take criticism, thought I was being mean when I was just telling her to shorten her reins and look up. She just couldn't take it at all. So she stopped taking lessons, and I told the girls, you ride with her, she won't listen to you. And they said, she's gonna make her horse fall. She's riding on a loose floppy rein, she's going fast, she's all over the place, we think she's dangerous. And I said, well, don't ride with her then. And they said, well, we feel bad, so we're gonna ride with her. I'm like, okay, because I'm not. And they said, well, what should we do? We tell her to shorten her reins and do all this stuff, and she won't listen to us, and we know her horse is gonna trip and fall down because it's not paying any attention, it's looking all over. And I said to them, sometimes people gotta fall. They said, what? I said, sometimes they gotta fall before they listen to you. So let her fall, because you've already told her what to do and she thinks you guys are bossy. So if you're going to hang out with her, stop being bossy, let her fall. Because some people just don't listen, and they need to make their own mistakes to learn. But I told them, I'm not riding with her, because yes, I agree, I think she's dangerous, and I think she's either going to hurt herself or someone else, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I tried to help her and she wouldn't listen, so now she's on her own. So that's how some people are. And some of you listening, this might be you, is that you think you know everything for some reason, or you're athletic and you're like, I'll figure out the riding, I don't have to take any lessons, it's not that hard. Yeah, it is hard. So there's a random weird car up here. So he might spook at this. There's never ever cars up here. There's a bag hanging out the side. So we'll see. So what did I do? I shortened up my reins. I stopped telling you the story. Now my hands are wide. I'm sitting back on my seat bones. Gonna breathe. This is for you so you understand what it's like to be relaxed. And now I got my legs around him. So my legs are holding him. So if that bag, which it might, look, he's like, what do I do? Now he's assessing it. So he stopped. He's not being spooky. He's looking to the right, but he's looking at the bag with his left eye. Remember, their head goes up and down and sideways, and then there's a tractor or something over there. So he's being totally calm. He's not upset or anything. He just cocked his leg. So now I think he's focused on the thing over there instead of this. So let's go a little forward. But I'm going to keep my right leg and right rein. He's going right up to the car. Just to block him. So if he spooked from that bag, I know he would go to the right. There's a cliff right there. So why would I want him to go off the cliff? So I'm ready with my right rein and right leg. Remember, you're constantly thinking. You don't have time to think about the falling off. You're constantly thinking, how can I help my horse? And if he jumps, what can I do to block it and keep us safe? And that's all you should be thinking about. Good boy. So now we're going to stop it again. He can watch this for a minute. I'm going to pet him, but he's totally calm, so I know he's okay to stand here. If he was moving around, breathing hard, snorting, tail up in the air, I know it's not a good idea to stand here, that they're most likely going to spook. But he stood calmly, and now we're going back. So now as we go back past this thing, again, that bag can blow, I know that. And it's going to look different this direction, so I'm going to keep my right rein open, my left rein against his neck, my left leg right on his side, so I'm holding him, and if he starts going left, I am going to stick my spur in his side so we do not go off the side of that cliff. People might think, well, that's mean. No, he won't have a home if something happens to me. So you gotta do what you gotta do to help him get past those things. And there's a difference between holding a horse gently so they know you're there for them to help them versus squeezing so hard because you're petrified. So you got to be able to lightly hold the horse between your hands and your legs, telling them, you're okay, I got you, buddy. Yeah. Just like you'd hold a little kid's hand versus you're holding the kid's hand as hard as you can, crushing it. That tells the kid you panicked, and they're probably braver than you. And that's what it tells the horse, is that you're panicked and I should get out of here because you don't know what you're doing. So you just lightly hold them, breathe, try to get all the tension out of your body. Tension in your butt, a lot of people carry it there. Release the tension in your thigh. You're just lightly gripping and then breathing. Good job. So overall, that was weird. I thought he did quite good. Good boy, Copper. All right. So if you want to learn, remember, you got to take lessons, but you also got to be able to take criticism. You got to practice. And some of you are more athletic than others. And some of you have always been like that, but you can always be better if you're motivated. So try to get in better shape, get your reaction time better, your balance better, and you're just going to end up being such a better rider. And when you're a better rider, you'll feel more confident and less scared because you're like, I can hold on, it's not a problem. So, but that's how you have to learn, and you have to do it. So Tiger Woods became phenomenal, right? He didn't stay on the top because he got older too, but he's still quite good, and he did so well, but he did have people help him. Okay, so remember, take criticism, And if you don't like the instructor, there's always other instructors or trainers, but you know, do what they say while you're there, and then you can go find another one if you don't like them or you don't think it's helping. But if you want someone just to say you're such a good rider and you're this and you're that, well, most good instructors will not do that for you. Those are the people who need money and don't want to teach or help people. But you can pay them all day and they'll say nice things about you. I've sent people away like that. I'm like, I don't want to teach you. I'm here to teach people how to ride. I'm not here to babysit. I'm not here to entertain you. I got one purpose here. And I want to make you a better rider, and I want your horse to be happy and trust you. And that's my goal. All right, so now we're headed back. Copper's like, I won't miss all that talking up there. So you saw he just tried to look to the right, and all I did was just a light touch on my left rein. Like, I'm holding my reins right now, but I really have like less than a pound of pressure on the reins to keep his head straight. Okay? But it's just like your bike. You hold the handlebar straight. You don't start off by riding your bike without the handle, holding onto the handlebar in the beginning. But that's what people do with the horses. They let go of the handlebar right from the get-go. So keep some contact. Going down the hill, you put all the weight down in your feet, stand up about an inch or two out of the saddle so it frees up the horse's back. And then if they're getting fast, squeeze and relax on the rein with each step. That's your half halt to get their weight on their back end. But by standing up in the stirrups, it releases their back so they can use it and get down the hill easier. And once you get down the hill, then you can sit back down. So you're not standing up high, you're just getting off their back so they can use it. When you're going over any obstacles, you look at the obstacle. There's a little branch coming up right here, and then as you get to the branch, you look up. You look where you want to be, where you want to go. Okay? So that should be forward and ahead. It shouldn't be down on the obstacle as you're going over it, because it makes it much harder for the horse. They already do enough for us. Right? All right, so now he's more relaxed. So now, as we're going home and he's slower, now you could relax a little bit more on the rein. But again, it's nighttime. There are mountain lions and coyotes, so you don't want to totally let go as it's going down to dusk. You want to be ready, and if something jumps out of here, I want to be with Copper, not by myself, because I'm not fast and I won't be able to run away. So I want to be ready, and I want to be ready to hold on to him if something went. So my reins are longer, but they're not totally loopy. Besides just getting your regular brushes and everything, when you get a vet, it's good to, you should always have Banamine on hand. So ask them if you can have Banamine, because you can give that for pain and when they're colicking, and you can ask the vet what to do, and they'll say, do you have Banamine? And you'll be like, yes I do, what do I do with it? And they'll tell you. So that's for muscle spasms, helps with colic, helps if there's injuries and lots of pain and muscles are spasming. You want to always have Bute on hand at your barn. So that's like aspirin for horses, so that's for pain. Also helps with swelling, so if they injured their leg and you got to wrap it and they're limping, Bute would work quite well for that. It comes in pill and powder form, but the pills last longer and you can just crush them up. Put on some feed, put a whole bunch of pancake syrup or molasses over it, mix it up, and they'll usually eat it. If they won't, you can put it in a syringe with water, and once the pills are melted, then you can squirt it down their throat. It's good to have eye ointment, like antibiotic eye ointment, because horses classically like to scratch their eyes. You don't want to put any cortisone in their eye until a vet looks at it, because it can make things like ulcers worse. So you just use, but the antibiotic one is okay. It's good to have antibiotics on hand if the vet will give them to you, in case your horse cuts himself and it's something dirty and you think it's going to get infected, or if they get pneumonia or something like that. You can start it on them right away, but you call the vet and say, hey, I got these pills, can I give them, this is what's happening, and they'll tell you yes or no. But sometimes you're somewhere the vet can't get out all, not until the next day or something, and sometimes you can't wait till the next day. So the more stuff you have that can help your horse better. If your horse is not drinking, well, like sometimes in the winter they don't want to drink. Sometimes when they're too hot they don't want to drink. You can make them something called a mash, where you put some grain in a bucket, like a quarter of the bucket. You put some grain, and then you fill the rest up with water, and they'll usually drink all the water to get to the grain. If they won't, there's something called thirst quencher you can get on Amazon, and that flavors the water, and most of the time the horses will drink a bucket or two of water if you put that in, so that's always helpful and good to have if you're trailering out. Sometimes horses get nervous and then they won't drink, or they don't like the flavor of the water where you are until they get used to it. But see how he's not looking around anymore? Because he's focused. He's focused on going home. When we were coming out, he was focused on, do I have to go? And is anything going to eat us while we're coming out here? So now that we're going home, he's focused on his job and not so nervous anymore. It doesn't mean they can't spook. All horses can spook. So you always want to be ready, but they're less likely on the way home. And if you're riding home and that horse doesn't want to go home, something really bad is in the bushes, like a mountain lion. You might want to turn around for an hour and wait, and then come back out and try to get back home. Remember, they hear and see things much further away than we do. They smell things, so if a bear or a mountain lion was over in those bushes an hour ago, he might still smell it where I won't, and they can spook just from the smell of it because they know it was there, and it's possible it's still hiding back there, or it might come back. If the horse gives a big snort with its nose, it means he is trying to smell what it is. They're usually looking at something and then they give that big snort. And other things you can work on is just being highly aware of how you're sitting in the saddle. You're supposed to be sitting on both your seat bones. You can tilt your pelvis to help the horse gait. With Copper, it would be tilting your pelvis more back towards the chair seat because he's on the trotty side, not forward, which is a forward seat. That would help with the pacey horse. So with the trotty ones, it's better to tuck your butt and sit back a little bit more. And you're trying to sit even. Lots of people sit crooked. It affects the horse's back. It makes it harder on them. So when you're riding, you can always put your hand under your seat bone, see if you can feel your seat bones. Make sure you're sitting evenly, that your pelvis isn't tilted. Check your stirrups each time before you ride. Stand in front of the horse, look at the stirrups, make sure they're even, because any imbalances can cause you to fall off, but can also cause you to injure your horse's back and hurt them. So you're trying to sit as even as you can. Anytime you get off to do something, it's always good to check your girth, because a lot of times they loosen up. Just gradually tighten the girth. Don't crank it up. That hurts the horse. It's not pleasant for him. You know, just slowly tighten it up, and then put your hand behind the girth. Make sure you didn't pinch any skin or anything before you get back on, because last thing you want to do is be hurting them and then get on and it pulls on them and it makes them buck or do something crazy because of the pain. They're not trying to hurt you, it's because you cause pain, and that's how they try to get the pain to go away, is they kick out or buck, or they try to get it off of them. Do steps like this, push your hands forward and stand in your stirrups, because it'll catch the shock, and then it's not as hard on your back when you go down things. But you can half halt all the way up to the object, but then you want to release so they can use their head and neck and look at it when you go down it. Horses, the way they see things are blurry, so if they really need to see the footing, sometimes they have to put their head pretty darn close to it. So if they're having issues going down something or stepping down something, loosen the rein up, sit back, let them use their head and neck, and then once they get down it, shorten back up. And then if there's another one, release the rein again and then shorten back up. And if another one, release the rein and shorten back up. Okay? So right now, as we're going down this hill, I'm standing in my stirrups so he can use his back however he wants, and that way it's not going to hurt my back. And it also gives me some exercise so I can work on my balance up here, and I can feel all the movement of his legs, because it takes time for people to feel the horse underneath them. So I can feel his right front leg going, and then his left, his right, his left, his right, his left. Somebody's right here. Copper's like, who's that? So the more you can feel that horse's legs underneath you, the more you will start to become one with them. And in time, you have the same horse. The most amazing thing can sometimes happen is that you feel like their legs are your legs. So so it feels like I'm walking down the hill. Okay, now he's getting a little nervous with these people because again, they haven't been there. He doesn't know. I heard him give a little snort. So all I'm doing is just kind of vibrating on the rein to get his attention on me. And I'm like, I got you, buddy. I'm just holding on very lightly, like, you're okay. Yep, you're fine. But be there for them. And they do so many things for us. Everybody just lets them, like, he'll take care of me. Let him just do it. The old ones, well, sure. Well, not all the old ones, the old good ones, but the younger ones, be there for them. Okay? It's a relationship, and that's the best part, is when your horse is, nice blue room. When your horse trusts you and they look for you for help, and you look to them for help, but you don't want it to be a one-sided relationship. It's both, and that takes most people a couple years, 2 to 3 years, to really understand their horse and get along with it. And it can be horrible in the beginning. You can fall off, you can mess stuff up, you can confuse the horse, you mess up its gaits, you mess up its mind, you make it very emotional, and you can still get it back. Horses are forgiving, much more than people are. A horse will do one thing to the person and they're like, I hate him, I'm selling him, he's so bad. I'm like, okay, so he did one thing. Out of the 2 years you've had him, he spooked once and he spun, and that's why you're getting rid of him. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I bet she saved you thousands and thousands of times over and over, and he needed help once and you couldn't be there for him, and since you flew off or have bad balance, now it's his fault, and so now you're going to get rid of him. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not your child. So remember, they do so much for us, so be there for them, help them. It's a relationship. Things happen, you know, even when we're just walking, we trip and fall, so you try to do the best you can. But remember, most of the time, if we're blaming the horse, it's actually us. Maybe we bought the wrong horse, that's the problem. Maybe we're not riding, maybe we don't practice, maybe we didn't take lessons, maybe we have poor balance, and maybe we make bad decisions. But I can tell you 90% of the time, or 95%, it's us, it's not them. Alright, so we're back. He did great. And I'll work them a little in the arena. I always like to work them at home when I get back, so they don't think home's a great place to be. And or tie them up when you get back for a half hour, an hour. And so they realize, hey, the job at this place is the same it was as Gaye's. It's not fun. Okay, we're gonna go deposit these glasses. You want to say hi to these horsies? Let's try and maybe put it on the saddle. Good boy. Good job, Kappa Kappa. I'll miss saying your name. Oh, when horses get to new places, I like to, once they arrive, let them just go in their stall or wherever they're going to go for a half hour and an hour. Then take them out, run them around, lunge them, run them, let them get some of the energy out. Unless it's too late, otherwise do it the next day. And then hand walk them all over the place and let them see everything. If they're scared of stuff, work on it from the ground. But let them see everything, where their new house is and where they're living, so they understand. Okay.